This is important.
Yeah, great. All right. Well, it's noon here, Central Time in Wisconsin, so it's time for the Meaningful Ideas Trading Club. It's Thursday. It feels like a Monday, this January 2nd, of course. So I'm just opening up the room right now to the folks that are coming in via Zoom. And, it's the beginning of the year, and man, like I said, feels like a Monday. It's a Thursday. We're having some technical issues on our end, so I'll try to get it streaming to Facebook here soon. But we've got Paul Berman today. Paul's here from Ideate Strategies, and Paul is a great speaker, great thinker, just a great helper. And I certainly need to hear a lot of what you have to say today, Paul. Um, the challenges of success, if I just framed it up this way, one of the challenges is you have some success, and then and then you're there, you've met a goal, and it's like, oh well, what's the next one, right? And then how do you keep going if you have that kind of mindset, right? And so sometimes you can get a little bit of stuck, and end of the year sometimes does that. Um, and I found myself waking up today and thinking, I haven't written out like what my goals are for the quarter. And I, what are they? Right. And now when am I going to find the time to like think about what they are? Right. And get clear on them. Do I need them? Like all this stuff, right? That starts going on in my mind. So welcome in. Chris, welcome in. Angela's here. Lee is here. Emily is here. Great to see you guys. Paul's going to present today on 3 simple steps of planning, goal setting, and tracking. And as always, here I encourage all of you to jump into the conversation. Paul, if it's okay with you, I like to just take questions as they arise rather than wait till the end.
Yep.
Um, I'm not sure how long people can stay, so you feel free to jump into the conversation at any time or jump out. But Paul, I'll let you take it from here. Tell us about goal setting and where you're at and all that sort of stuff.
So thanks so much, Kyle, Patrice. Thanks so much for the support and setting this up the last few weeks. It is a pleasure to be here with you today. I do apologize. My wife and I are driving in a vehicle in South Central Pennsylvania heading home. And so I am in a little bouncy car with a headset. So do the best I can. I will keep an eye on the chat. If you have something on your mind or thoughts, feel free to bring it up. Yep, interactive is great. You might finish a little early and give you some time back in your day. But everything I'm presenting, it's a PowerPoint deck. I thought that would be the best way to organize me, my thoughts, and give you a deliverable afterwards. There's also a single page Excel spreadsheet, which is really a key piece to this. I've emailed them both to Patrice and Kyle. They're shareable. Each of you who get them, you can use them, you can share them. There's no restrictions on sharing this.
Thank you so much.
So is
I'll email into the chat so you folks have that. If you want to reach out to me to get this information, we can send it over to you. And Patrice, who will be joining us here live as well, can during this call share it with
so
you.
is everybody seeing my slides? We good?
Yeah, I got it.
We good? So I'll hit below the belt a little bit, just open this up. So this is an image that a teammate many years ago came up with, and it spells the word life, but you can see inside of it is the word celebrate. I thought it was a creative graphics designer use of, I was in the Celebrate Life business, and he came up with this, and we we're pretty proud of it, but it speaks to today. And hitting below the belt, my wife and I are on the way back from a funeral in central Pennsylvania to our neighbor. She'd been suffering for 2 years, 79, just a lovely couple, and we were out there. So the last thing I would do is cancel, request Kyle to change this. So here we are. Sorry I'm in the car, but we'll get it done. So today we're going to talk about a topic of Happy New Year. And kiddingly, I say, how are you doing in your goals so far? So we're on day 2, right? So like if you said, dry January, or I'm only gonna eat vegetables, or I'm gonna go to the gym every day for January, how are you doing so far? Not everybody sets goals. I know plenty of super high achieving individuals just don't set goals and they do really well. So whether you set goals or not, some of the things I share, hopefully there'll be a value. And like anything, if you get a couple of takeaways from this, that's good. If anything, you're spending an hour or so just working on yourself and thinking about things. If you do set goals, do you track them? And is this working for you? Is the process you're doing working for you? And are they visible? Right? So quit quitting. Is 2025 your year? This is a quote that actually came up this morning, and it was stated it was from Oprah Winfrey. Cheers to a new year and another chance for us to get it right. Okay, good timing. And here we are, the 2nd of January. Some of the things I'm going to share, and I always give credit where credit is due, came from a guy, Steve Schellenberger. Steve was a Air Force pilot, F-16. His dad was one of the earliest people working with Stephen Covey before Stephen Covey was like a thing. And he talked about some of the things we'll be touching on today. So this comes from David Goggins. I like this. Not sure if you're familiar with him or not. He is not for everybody. That's for sure. But what he said was, and it relates to this, is motivation is short term. It's really crap. It's just a bundle of Kindle that does not last. When he said it, I thought, nah, I'm highly motivated. But guess what? On a specific goal or goals and targets, how long does that motivation last? Not a whole year, not a lifetime. It comes and it goes. And what I'm going to share with you are simple things that can make this easier, simpler, and maybe fun. I believe these numbers to be directionally or correct or very correct. 333.75. Here's the deal. If you have a goal in mind, and I use weight loss and fitness because everybody gets it. Okay. It's like talking about cheese pizza and a really good pizzeria. We all get that. We talk about Tom Brady and his excellence with the Patriots and Tampa Bay. Whether you like the teams or not, we don't need to talk about it. That's true excellence. Even though he was like number 170 or something in the draft. Okay. The Navy SEALs, we don't need to talk about it when it comes to excellence. So 333.75. The data shows, and the research I've done confirms it. If you have an idea, a goal in your brain, lose weight, get in shape, make more money, change jobs, whatever the heck it is, work on relationships. If it is in your brain and that's it, you're going to achieve that goal 3% of the time. That's 1 out of 33 when you do the math on 100%. If it is in your brain and it is written or visible somewhere on your wallpaper, on your laptop, your phone, somewhere it's visible. Pictures on a fridge, on a mirror. Goggins talks about that, the dirty mirror. Somewhere it's visible. 33% of the time you will achieve that goal or goals. An 11x advantage, 11 times, just by having it written and visible, or I'm going to show you some electronic stuff in a moment. That's a key piece. As simple as it is, that's a differentiating factor. Everybody, I'm presuming, has thoughts or goals or dreams or visions or get my own business someday or whatever it is. And that's where it sits and that's where it resides. And it doesn't happen because of this. This is the first simple thing. I've started using, which I'm going to share, an 8.5 by 11 pad. Okay. I mean, super easy, simple, and effective. If it is in your brain, it is written or visible, and you have an accountability partner, 75% achievement of that goal. That's a 25x advantage. I don't know about you. I'll take an 11x or a 25x advantage anytime, all day long. You tell me how to do something better, faster, cheaper, I'm all ears. And when I see it working, then it really feels good. Guess what? You can be your own accountability partner. It doesn't have to be somebody else, and I'm going to show you.
Okay.
So
Hey, Paul, do you write your goals out?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little scary, but I'm going to show you exactly what I do. And folks, I have struggled with this a lot. I'm 65. I'm going to be 66 in March, and I'm still working on how to make my systems and processes more effective. Okay. The goal is to reinvent yourself this year, now, in 3 steps. And I'm serious, 3 simple steps. And this PowerPoint deck is available to everybody if you want to have it, review it, whatever works for you, here to help. So there's a book I ran across this last year, Ben Franklin's Book of Virtues. It's on the email, the link to Amazon of what I sent to Kyle and Patrice. This is a really tough one. It's like $16 and it's super thin. I mean, it's like super thin. I set goals of how many books I want to read per year and how many Audible books. I'm more of an Audible person. Well, I got this book and I read it so I could check off the list on my goal of 2024 to complete 30 books, 24 Audible, 6 written. Well, this one counted as a written book. And I've done some studying of Ben Franklin. And I knew he had his Book of Virtues, but I didn't know it was like a book. And I didn't know it was so thin. So I'm half kidding, but I'm not. This is a power book. I will tell you in these pages, let's say you read in a half hour, or you could Google it, and I'm sure all of his virtues, there's 13 of them. This is a cornerstone to my weekly goal setting. Okay. So it's one little tidbit. And like, in my view, everybody should have this and look at it because it's basic things that impact all of us. So Ben Franklin's Book of Virtues, it's a good one. Something that impacted me a few years ago that ties into my goal setting. And again, the link is, Patrice, what I sent you and Kyle to go check this out. Dan Sullivan has been doing executive coaching.
Any matching places. Sorry about that.
Dan Sullivan has been doing executive coaching longer than anybody, like 50 plus years. When I ran across this, when I was looking at YouTube's, it nailed me. I mean, right in my face. He talks about the 4 pillars of freedom, and they're in this order. Core purpose. Why do you wake up in the morning? What's your purpose in the world? Okay. Not easy to come up with, I can tell you. It took me a while. Mine is bring laughter, happiness, and success to others. And then I added to myself as well. So when I wake up, if I can make somebody laugh or get a smile, even if it's at the convenience store, wherever I'm at, check. If I can help somebody be happier or more successful, major check. Whether it's my coaching business or doing things like this, that's my core purpose. I live it every day and I've not changed it, but it took me a while. It took me a few months to really nail it. Think about your core purpose or your purpose. Relationships is number 2. Some are really obvious. Spouse, kids, mother, father, sister. But guess what? Just because you're related to somebody doesn't mean you have to like them or want to spend time with them. How many friends that used to be really good friends are lost relationships, or maybe had an argument and nobody's calling each other? I hate that. Estranged families or something stupid happened and families aren't together. It really upsets me. Core purpose, number 1. Relationships, you're going to see it where it ties to goals. Time. We all have the same 168 hours a week, period. Okay. What are you doing with it? Making good, effective use or not? And then the last is money. Some people just talk about money, want to make more money. And I get it. Money's a good thing. Okay. Money can buy happiness. I've been broke. I've been bankrupt. It wasn't happy. Okay. Money's important. But if you get your core purpose right, you have killer relationships, they're really awesome, and you're working on it, and you got good control of your time, the money tends to take care of itself. This is from Dan Sullivan. Again, that link is what I sent you, Patrice and Kyle. This has really helped me redefine my goals and the order.
Hey guys, just a reminder, Paul is traveling today, so
his 3-week planning.
Paul, we lost you a little bit there. Yeah, I know you're traveling. You had a family emergency come up, so we appreciate you being here. You were saying that the Dan Sullivan teaching really kind of changed your life, and then we kind of lost you. So if you could bring us back to that.
Yeah, so Dan Sullivan, like anything on YouTube, if you're into that, there's so much wonderful content. Dan is an incredible thought leader, for sure, 100%. And his 4 pillars impacted me and some others. in major ways. That I won't go into those long stories, but it's been powerful. So here's really getting into the nuts and bolts of what we're going to discuss today. The skill of skills is pre-week planning, a simple method to identify what matters most in your life, define what your best looks like, and then take it in your daily schedule. I didn't do this for a long time. In the last few years, I have taken my weekly planning much more serious. I used to do it at noon on Sundays because I'm usually home. I've been to the gym, I'm hanging out or watching football this time of year. I now do it in the morning because my wife and I both get up really early. So my pre-week planning is every single Sunday morning, and it makes a big difference. The power of weekly planning, and the data fully supports this. You achieve 30 to 50% more. So it's like having your goals that are written and visible, and then doing the weekly planning. These are simple things. You've heard them before. The question is, you're going to do it or not. Achieve 30 to 50% more, experience less stress and better well-being, leads to a more purposeful and intentional living because your week is pre-planned. You can see the names on that list, including Ben Franklin. I've read many more over the decades than what's on here, but this weekly planning, certainly in entrepreneur world, is a standard, and it works. And I wish I could go back decades because I wasn't doing it. I knew of it. I just didn't do it. And it's made a difference. Are you ready to join this list of somebody who spends some time once a week? Find a time when your energy is good. If it's late at night, if it's a Wednesday morning, if it's a Saturday morning, whatever it is, I calendar it. And you're going to see that one of my tools that I use is very simple, is Microsoft Outlook and recurring meetings. I don't need to put this on my list anymore. I own this. I don't need to put going to the gym on my list. I own that. I've got time in the morning, I'm at the gym. Okay? So this is the first step of 3 to supercharging your life of whatever you want to do, whether it's a couple goals or it's really beefy. This is where it starts, the weekly power hour. Mine normally does not take an hour.
Hey, Paul, I got to get the temperature of the crowd here. You guys liking what Paul said?
Started on this journey, should you choose to, or tighten up what you're, yep.
Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, let's get some feedback. Let's keep Paul going. Who's liking this? Give me a thumbs up, a shout out to Paul. Good stuff so far. All right, I like it. Okay, Paul, let's get you back. Give us these first steps of the weekly power hour. And now did we lose him? I cut him off, and guys, now he's not coming back. I imagine he's like passing under like some tunnel, like he's like, I don't know where he is in Pennsylvania exactly, but either open field or like passing under some mountains. While we wait for Paul to reconnect here, a couple things. Looks like now we lost him. He'll be coming back. Has anyone read Ben Franklin's Book of Virtues?
Long time ago.
Yeah. Did you find it valuable, Chris?
Yeah, I was when he started bringing it up. I looked over my shoulder, my bookshelf, and I probably in one of my other boxes of many books from a long time ago. So I'm thinking in my brain where I have to go dig that out.
Yeah. I discovered this book. I haven't read it myself, but I know my father-in-law had it like tucked away in his basement. And I saw it one day and I started looking at it. I'm like, hey, I got to come back to get this book from you, right? And that was like 2 years ago. So I've got to revisit that and go grab it. What about do you guys write down your goals? Who writes down the goals?
Yeah,
Mine?
I moved and I had a lot of goals written on my old office wall, lots of post-it notes, lost all those, but it's spot on. It's more because it would be right behind my monitor. So I would constantly have it in like my peripheral vision.
Yeah.
And a lot of those goals I did end up hitting, not even, and it was a subconscious thing where end of the year, I look back and I'm taking them down. I'm like, wow, I actually did that this year. And I didn't even, it wasn't something I was consciously trying to do. It's just why I knew it was subconsciously planned. So yeah, it's spot on.
Are we back
Yeah.
and connected?
Yeah, you're back, my friend. Everyone likes what you're doing so far. I cut you off and then just kind of lost you. So my bad. And let's keep.
No, I think we hit a bad signal, and we're out here in central Pennsylvania where the Amish ride around in carts and buggies and horses. So, good to hear there's some goal stuff out there. So the first step is the weekly planning process. I didn't do it for a long time, and it was a mistake. And it
Hmm. Yeah, it's not hitting right now.
good.
Yeah, we're kind of like waiting on bated breath for him to come back here. Um,
But me a favor, and you do the screen there that I emailed you, and then I'll just say next, and you can slide it over. Would be good.
Will do.
Thanks.
okay, so I think what we're loading up here is Patrice, do we need to make you a co-host or?
Nope. I should be able to share here. Just one second.
And
Okay.
Kyle, you also have that. You
I've got
also have that email in your inbox. Yep.
in the interim, guys. I
On
write
this,
my goals down on a little card like this, and I write them out every 90 days. And as I looked at my card today, in my last 90 days, my thought was I have too many goals. And I kind of get
yep.
lost in having too many. And so whatever I set today going forward, I want to make sure they're focused and less than the number that I have here.
Yeah, it's a key stumbling block. I actually had a coaching client, Kyle, in New York, and we spent a lot of time. And eventually, he distilled his goals down to how many? 192. 192. Needless to say, we didn't make a lot of progress. So stick on that one right there, if you would, Patrice, and then I'll just say next. Thank you so much. So select a recurring day on the calendar, and you're going to hear this again. You'll be nauseous on it. The calendar rules. We all had noon central here, and we showed up. All right. Wasn't by accident. Select a time of the day. I block out 60 minutes. I rarely use that much, and I'll explain why, and you'll see it. I don't need that much because of the system I set up. This is a simple change, and Kyle just shared it. He's at the 33%. He doesn't have it in his brain. He has it written and visible. He has a card with him. I use Google Sheets. Why? Because I can get it anytime I want. The airplane tomorrow with offline mode. Anywhere I'm at Sunday, I have my cell phone and I get to Google Sheets. That's what I choose to use. However, when I finish my planning on Sundays, I have an 8.5 by 11 pad, and I really went fancy on this one. I have an easel that is to the left of my laptop and big screen, so it's facing me. That 8.5 by 11 pad is on my desk at home right now, and it travels with me. Tomorrow, I've got to go to California, actually for another funeral for my aunt. Marlon, who's 91 and a half, lived an amazing life. That notepad will go with me. Why? Because we don't come back till Sunday. And what do I do on Sundays? My weekly planning. So it travels with me. It's always with me, either on my desk or with me, so my goals are visible, not too many. So it's just time blocked out for 30 or 60 minutes to reflect on our lives and write down the things I want to work on this week and then go to the next step. If you would, Patrice, hit the next slide, please. So goals by role. This is one I learned a few years ago by Steve Schellenberger. It's so obvious, but I never thought about it. He's the F-16 pilot I spoke about who does this for a living, okay? I never thought about the different roles I had as it related to setting goals. I'm married, I'm a father, I'm an executive coach, I have responsibilities. You may be involved with your church or religious organization. You may be a volunteer with Rotary or something else. These are all different roles in our life. Some are placed upon us, like being a son or a daughter with parents, and some may be ill and need help. It may be something you volunteered to. Some we choose, some we don't. But this really woke me up. And Steve Schellenberger actually, Kyle, did this, I believe it was January 7th of 22, January of 22. And the whole thing was, how you doing on your goals? And most people admitted they were not even on track. A week into the year, not doing it. We've all seen that data. But what he shared that day had me going and redoing all of my goals by role. Okay. Select your various roles, list them. Whether you choose to use Microsoft Excel, which I'm going to show you in a moment, or use a notepad or Google Sheets or Apple Notes or whatever, think about the different roles you have. If you have 3 children, that's a role as a father or a mother. If you have 3 individual children, maybe you have some goals for each one or a single goal for each one. You know, take Johnny to a freaking football game, right? Goals by role. That's your second step. One is weekly planning process. Get it on the calendar. 2 is define your various roles and then wrap a few goals around each of them. I was speaking with an entrepreneur in Philadelphia yesterday in a peer group I facilitate. The number one thing nagging with him, he said, I don't spend any time with my dad anymore. I'm so busy with work and my 2 kids. I said, well, what does your dad like to do? Loves to go out to eat. I said, all right, can I challenge you to get 2 dinner dates on the calendar between now and the end of March with your dad? He goes, easy. You going to do it? And I know he will. He said, Paul, thank you so much. I'm calling my father right now to get our calendars out. He has a role of a son, and he loves his dad, and they're super close. He shared that his dad's a homebody. All he does is like working on his house and fixing stuff up. No hobbies, no golf, no fishing, no nothing, but he likes to go out and eat. So there's a role that I helped him define, knowing I was coming in today to discuss this, and I think it's going to make a difference. I'm going to see him on the 20th at a peer group, and I will ask him, do you have dinner set with your dad? Also gave him a killer restaurant near his home that's just unbelievable that he doesn't know about. Select a few goals for each role. Tip, not too many. I'm using examples, not to prop myself up, to tell you that I'm doing what I'm suggesting. Our son, Sam, is getting married in September of this year. His fiance, Nicole, is a doll. They've been together for years. One of my goals for 2024 was to have lunch with Nicole. It took me until a few weeks ago to nail her down to go out. And I told her, I said, you know, this is one of my goals. The calendar's not turning with us not having lunch, dinner, breakfast. I'll come to you. We did it on the 20th of December, had a wonderful lunch, checked it off the list. I had one goal with Nicole. And it was really nice spending one-on-one time. Dating like 6 years or something. We've never won. If I had not set that goal and wasn't reviewing it each week, it wouldn't have happened, right? And
Yeah,
better to
definitely.
have 1 or 2 really, yeah, don't go too deep. If you're not a goal setter, get some momentum. Keep it easy. That's step 2. Patrice, if you would go to the next slide. third step, track them. I use a Google Sheet. It's by far the best thing I've ever used. It's free. It's easy. We all have our phones with us all the time. And I use the EOS, Kyle, the EOS method of tracking, and you're going to see it in a moment. Green shaded is I'm on track. Red shaded, I'm not on track. Having lunch with Nicole had been red all year long. I don't like red. I want to be green. Once we set the date, I made progress on that week. I had it green. Then once we got it done, it went to my completed goals list, right? If I have goals listed that I'm not currently working on, I will put them on there, but they're not red and green because I'm not working on them. So this is why I can go through on Sunday so fast. I don't want to freak you out and show you my goal list because the technology is not working. I've got a bunch, but I can just go look at red and green and see what's red and what's important to me the next week. And if it's important, I write it on my 8.5 by 11 pad, and it usually gets done. Okay. Visibility, this notepad on my desk, Kyle has a card. Visible somewhere. It's a critical piece because you're going to be in the 3% bucket or the 33%. And then I'm accountable to myself because I'm checking it off or moving forward the next week or whatever. Next slide, please.
Hey, Paul.
So those are, yep.
Remind me again. 333.75. Just give us those numbers again and the significance.
Three is you have a goal in your brain or you're thinking about it's a fleeting thought. 3% of the time you're going to accomplish that goal. If it is in your mind, you're owning it, lose weight, get in shape, something, relationships, dinner with dad, whatever. If it is written, if it is in your brain and is written and visible, you will accomplish those goals 33% of the time. That's 11 times more. That's a big advantage. Here is an example of a snippet of what is going to be in your inbox. I have the role, myself and fitness and health. These are just fake goals. I did it in exhibit just for this presentation. So being true to my word, that's really important to me. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. So if that's one of my core goals in the last week, was I true to my word? And if I wasn't, I would put red and think about what do I need to do this week to make sure that stays green. Meditate. I try to do some meditation every morning. If I'm on track, and that's part of my daily routine, I stay green. If I'm missing it half the time, I don't BS myself. It's red or it is green, period. There is no middle. There is no yellow. Fitness and health. I do have a goal to lose weight this year. I'm doing better. So let's say lose 20 pounds. If I'm not on track, it goes red. I am going to the gym regularly, so that's green. That's an example. So you can see where you can have 20 or 30 goals with the various roles in your life and relationships. Red, green, green, red, red, green. Which ones are important that are red? Keep staying on the green. The ones that are red, work on it, okay? So this has been the most helpful thing I have done in struggling with goal tracking and accountability. Next slide, please. Okay. Convert your what's into whens. The power of the calendar. Stuff can be easily calendared to recurring. If your meal plan is terrible, then maybe put something in the morning, good meal plan today, and have as a recurring daily meeting on your calendar for the whole year. You can always delete it. So little tech tricks like, Sunday morning, 7 a.m., weekly planning. There was a while for my skin, I wasn't using face cream. I put on my calendar 7 p.m. every night, 7 days a week, and I just put face cream. Guess what I started doing more? Using face cream. Not 7 days a week, but now I do it consistently because it's sitting in our bathroom, and I use face cream more to keep this beautiful face less wrinkly, right? I use these as silly examples, but they're real. These are true, honest examples. If you want to go to the gym, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays, put it on the calendar. Block out an hour, hour and a half. If it's on the calendar, it tends to happen more than if not. It's a similar thing as a goal that's written or floating around your brain. Calendar is a great tool. Next slide, please. So this is a slide I've used for a life-work balance talk I give, and I thought this was worthwhile. Now, this guy doesn't have his sunglasses on for Texas Hold'em, but look at that stack of chips. I mean, that's a big stack of chips. And if you're the one playing with the little stack of chips next to that drink, and he's got the big stack of chips, usually the big stack of chips is going to win more than the little stack of chips. It's your choice. How big of a stack of chips are you going to pile in front of yourselves? How much of a strategic advantage are you going to give yourselves? I'm just sharing what's worked for me and others and handing it out today. 3 steps. Do some weekly planning, get your stuff written and visible, leverage your calendar. It just works. Next slide, please. So key takeaways. Focus on the changes you want to make, not the end result. Example, I want to lose 10 pounds versus I now own a healthy meal plan. If you own having a good, healthy meal plan and not too much cheating, you're going to wind up losing weight. You may lose 40 pounds. So when we set these absolute numbers, I will do this, I will do that, it's almost a setup for failure. Focus on the changes. A change could be every Sunday, I'm going to reflect on my life a little bit and do some planning for the week. That's a big deal. Where it's going to lead you, there's no telling. Okay. The 42-52 rule. Making progress on a goal 42 out of 52 weeks is probably much better than you're doing right now. Okay. There's no magic to 42, by the way. There's no math, no research, no nothing. Give yourself a break. You're not going to be perfect. You know, if there's times you don't feel like going to the gym or it's holiday season, and you're eating cakes and pastries and stuffing and gravy and stuff, great. Enjoy it. Okay. Constant, steady progress. Give yourself a breather. Time is an asset. Yeah, we're talking here on January 2nd. It's a day. It's a day. It happens to be a new year. Hopefully, we're all going to be alive for a long, long time. I heard this from Vern Harnish. If you improve 2% a week, every week, you'll be up 104% in a year. Simple math. There's another thing I've got in my content to share about the 1% rule. Similar concept. Just make some movement. Just get some progress and some forward momentum, and it becomes fun doing this. Not too much too fast. There's a saying, I believe, from Bill Gates. Most people overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 year and underestimate what they can get done in 10. Play the long game. You know, I was 300 pounds and a heart attack waiting to happen when I met my mentor in October of 04. Okay. You know, short of cutting limbs off or going on crazy diets, it takes time to lose a bunch of weight. And I did. And I've gained and I've lost and I've gained and I've lost. I knew it was going to be a long time and I wanted to do it right. And I did. So think about things that you've been struggling with and give yourself a breather on the amount of time it may take to really get it. And if you focus on the changes, not the end result, magic can happen. This comes from my father. He said, Paul, and I'm going to say it exactly the way he said it to me. Paul, don't be your own worst enemy. You have to be your own best cheerleader. There's very few people that give a shit about you. You've got to be your own best cheerleader. Don't be your own worst enemy. That's pretty much verbatim. My father, who passed away 22 years ago, 23 now, in 2002, shared with me. Don't beat yourself up. We get enough pressure outside of us going on without being too hard on yourselves. The last thing, again, leverage the power of your calendar. Things on the calendar happen more than don't. Think about silly little things, whether it's face cream or gym or meal plan or weekly planning. Pack up that calendar and just do it when it comes up if you can. If not, don't beat yourself up. Next slide, please. I'm almost done, then we can open it up. This is a saying by the Rolling Stones. Time is on your side, or is it? And not to beat anybody up, stuff gets real. My wife and I are on the way back from a funeral. Our neighbor Sue passed on Christmas Day. I can share other stories of loss. Okay. We're not guaranteed tomorrow. We know that. We know these lessons of life. What are we doing about it? What are you doing about it with lost relationships? How you're dealing with time and money and your core purpose? It's real stuff, right? Next slide, please. So quit quitting. Quit quitting on your goals and yourself, beating yourself up. Is this your year? Is this your year? It starts today. Yesterday's already over. This is our first work day for most of us of 25. Next slide, please. That's it. Celebrate your life. Work on it. Put some stuff on the calendar. Get serious about your goals. Buy raw and track them. Okay. The exhibit that's shared on the email, Kyle and Patrice, is a simple Excel spreadsheet, and it's got a couple of things in there. We could easily use that tool, rename it for yourself, put some red and green. If you want to use Google Sheets, you can do that. That's my preferred method, by the way, because I can change it anytime I want. There's times I set stupid goals that are too bullish. It's like, that was dumb. I just delete it or leave it blank, no red and green. And I'll come back to it at some point in time, right? That's my story. I'm sticking to it. What questions do you have?
Hey guys, feel free to put them in the chat or just jump in the conversation. First off, thank you, Paul. Really appreciate the time that you put into this, getting this into a PowerPoint, which is really great too, right? Like sometimes you come into these meetings, you hear these things. It's really awesome that we can offer to people on this call something to walk away with that you've created, and it's unique. And you can, I know there's heart behind it and passion, because every time I talk to you, I can just feel it, right? So that's what I like, right? I see that you've taken your own experiences, what others have told you about, or you've read, and put this into your own unique document, which I think is really, really cool. I have a couple thoughts and things that I just kind of want to open up, and I want to make sure, number one, I get clear on the 333.75. I'm still stuck on that. I think 3% is saying that if you just think of something, you will complete that goal only 3% of the time. If you write it down, you will complete it 33%.
And it's visible. And it's visible.
Then what is the 75?
That you have an accountability partner, either yourself or somebody else. You share the document, you share with coworkers, you're in a peer group, whatever it is, there's some accountability. A good trick, by the way, is you set a bet with somebody like your child or your father or your spouse or something. And if you don't reach it, they're the one who gets the payoff.
Okay.
So they'll be on you.
One of my content creators that I listen to, he had one that was kind of a little bit better. He said, think about a goal that you want to set for yourself. Think about how much you're willing to give away money wise. And he said, think of someone that you're not too fond of. Think of someone that you would never in a million years give money to, donate to, like someone that you feel like is a scam artist or something. Think about them. So then that makes it even more likely that you're going to reach that goal, because you don't want to give them money. So I was like,
Courtney, I have a client. I have a client who hates the NRA. He's not a gun guy. I mean, like, the NRA is like the Antichrist, right?
Okay.
He was not getting something done in business that he needed to get done for a few months. And I keep stuff on the list unless they said, quit bothering me and take it off. It doesn't come off the list. It's like, where are we at with this? So I said, all right, Ben, we're not making any progress on this. Talk about a charity you hate. Went round. I said, how about the NRA? And boy, his whole facial expression, Courtney, was like, I said, all right, here's the deal. And I picked the date. I think it was the Wednesday or the Thursday at 6 p.m. before Thanksgiving. If he didn't have the draft to me in workable shape, he had to make a $1,000 donation to the NRA. $1,000.
His
He
name.
said, I'll get it.
Your
I'll get
business.
it. Yeah, he said, I'll get it done. So he's failing in sales. He's not doing what he needs to do, and the revenue of his company that he paid millions of dollars for is not on track. Not on track. Last year, he had to stop taking salary a couple of times. The pain was there anyway.
Yeah.
So now I figure, how am I going to help support him getting this done? So the next morning, I sent him the donation link to the NRA. All he had to do was like put in the credit card. So every couple of days, I sent him a reminder, a link to the website, an image with guns, the link for the donation a couple times. Shockingly, that Thursday by 6 p.m., I had the draft the day before. It was pretty good. He did a pretty good job. So to your point, Courtney, the pain, and he would have done it. There's no way he would have dodged the accountability.
Yeah.
So to your point, that's what we
Go
did.
figure. Yeah. The one little motivation. But it's a big motivation because it's something you're passionate about. I think it's tapping into something that they're passionate about in the opposite direction of positive, I guess.
So
the same thing happens, Courtney, is on a Sunday. If you're doing your planning, let's say it's a Sunday and you've got something that's red a couple of weeks in a row, I'll reflect on that and say, am I serious about this goal? And am I going to do something about it? Or am I going to take it off? I'm not going to beat myself up. If I'm going to do something about it, where does it go? My 8.5 by 11 pad was staring at me all week long.
Yeah.
And amazingly, stuff gets done.
I want to give some commentary on the calendaring, Paul. And I found this to be really effective too with people that I'm working with, right? Collaborating on a project, trying to lead them. And I might come with some ideas or some goals and say, this is what I really want to get done, right? And let's just say it's a year. Like, I want this done in a year. I want us to be proficient on this. And you get kind of those looks like, how are we going to do this? And like, everyone's like, oh, you can just see they're overwhelmed immediately, right? And I'm like, no, look, we're going to meet once a week on this, right? And if we can meet once a week, that's 52 meetings, right? And I think if we meet up 52 times, we can get good at this, right? And of course, maybe you have some holidays in there, some things that come up. But even if you did that 26 times, or you did it 12 times, right? To your point, put it on the calendar, commit to just showing up. And even if the first meeting or the 6th or the 15th meeting sucks, because sometimes they do, go to the next one. Go to the next meeting, right? I participated in a meeting pulse where the leader of the meeting, because the meetings sucked, if I said it that way, gave up and he stopped calling the meetings. And guess what? We stopped talking. And the goals didn't get accomplished. People went their separate ways.
Hey, Lee, quick question. How long you been working on the working treadmill? How long you been doing that?
Involved 2 months.
Man, that's awesome. How many steps you getting in a day?
I don't know, it's like 2 to 3 miles. You know, I've got 2 hours at just almost 2 miles per hour. It's great.
So
I feel
what's
great.
what's one of your goals front and center this year that you absolutely positively plan on accomplishing or crushing?
Well, talking about treadmill, becoming a healthy person, right? So actions, this, better habits around lunch and supper time meals, right? And then just two more intense days. So as I go from sitting my butt all day.
So define better habits.
Having a meal plan, right? So like, here's the 5 options I'm always going to go to at lunchtime. They're in my checklist for my grocery order. I like it and it's healthy, and I'm not going back to
so one of the
bread
things,
sandwich
and
every
thanks
day.
for sharing that. And I wasn't trying to set this up. I chose not to get into this today because I thought it was a little too much because everybody's in a different place. I've redefined presence, Lee, as today. Okay. I know it's right now. We're being present in the moment. I get that, right? To me, presence is this day, this Thursday. So I do daily planning in the morning before I ever turn on my electronics. I've got clear on what I have to go figure. I use Google Sheets and Post-it notes. Post-it notes, here's my 3 things I'm going to do next, then go to the gym or whatever, right? So the daily, Lee, what I would be doing in that morning, right, we're going to have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, if there's any treats or drinks or anything like that. You're going to watch the Georgia game at 4. Maybe you want some wings and beer. Maybe you fast all day. But the point is, I get clear on that day what I'm going to do that day. And meal plan and fitness is a part of it. But it also, I'm looking at that 8.5 by 11 pad saying, what did I say I'm going to get done this week? And what's on the list today? Where am I ahead or behind? Because I do not want to be red on Sunday. I want to be able to go green. So Lee, that would be something that maybe in the morning, just a little post-it note or something. What's your meal plan for the day? And then more likely than not, it happens. So you can take what I did from weekly and boil it down to your daily. Very simple. And I've struggled with this, folks. And now I'm not struggling as much, and I'm reaching more of my goals, and I'm more green because of these simple things I've done. It's a pleasure to share them with you because they've just worked for me. They've helped.
Hey, Paul, I wanted to talk about, you said be your best friend, not your worst enemy, right? So one thing that I feel like with goals, at least personally, I would struggle is this idea of like, hey, you want to do a certain amount of things and you get off track and you just kind of crash back down, right? And I'm offering, I'm going to show this, I'll just pull it up on the screen, not as necessarily as successful as I thought it was going to go, but I wanted to take my daily habits and routines that I felt were the things that would allow me to best accomplish the big goals. Are you still with me? It looks like your screen froze. So hopefully we get Paul back. I'm going to show this in the meantime. So what I wanted to do is I just created this grid, right? And I took like the number of days. And what I anticipated was that this line would go like this, and it would show like success of like me meeting my daily accomplishments and my goals. And what I did, I got off to a good start. Then I didn't, and went up, and then I did, and then I didn't. And then I started it again, and because I ran out of space on that chart, and I'm like in the bottom, I can't get started, right? So you guys probably can't read that very well. But I do it every day because, and what I'm looking for is like 80% compliance. And it also maybe tells me that my what I'm trying to track is not realistic. Or maybe it is realistic. I'm doing the wrong things in my day. I'm calendaring the wrong events. Like, why can't I accomplish these things? But keeping that chart and putting that X on it every day is helpful to me one way or the other. And it reminds me that it's okay if you incrementally go up. And it's showing you don't want to just kind of throw all the water out, I guess, is what I'm trying to say here. So, Paul, help us with that, right? Because, and especially with like weight loss and dieting, that seems to be a common thing. Like, oh, I'm not making any progress, or like I didn't make it to the gym, and then you just fall completely off. And people then kind of feel a sense of depression or loss. So how do you help us there?
Yep. So good topic. And thanks for sharing. I did see your exhibit, and thanks. First of all, flat lines are tough. Okay. When you hit those flat lines in life and business, whatever, it's never fun, right? So that's kind of where this EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system, for those who may not be familiar with, the red and green, when you've tracked goals or rocks, as they're called, you're either on track green or red, period. So what I do, Kyle, is even though weight loss, meaning the scale is a key for me because I'm a big guy, the fact is my wife and I were at the gym. She's there 7 days a week. I'm usually 5. My body is getting stronger. I know my legs are more muscular by way. I don't care how much that muscle weighs or whatever. We all know when we slip those jeans on how we're doing. Okay. I thought it was funny. It didn't get much play in LinkedIn. I figured out why everybody gained weight during COVID. You know why? Sweatpants and pajamas. Like we were all wearing stretchy clothes. Well, they give. And then you go try to put those jeans on, like, uh-oh. So red and green, Kyle, if I'm making progress, I know if I've had a good meal plan that week, when I plan on Sundays, I know if it's green or red. If I ate a
Yeah.
bunch of pizza and ate out and salty food, or I'm traveling on the road where you don't know what they're putting in the food, it's red. I don't even have to get on a scale. It's not a weight thing. If I'm making forward progress, I'm green. It supports staying green. Um, and if I'm off track and I go red, what can I do this next week on my 8.5 by 11 pad to do it? It may eat 5 salads. It may
Yeah.
be no eggs for the week. Just having a protein shake in the morning. Things like that is just little incremental. It's kind of a game with myself of how I can go green.
Do you share your personal goals? Like, the lunch, it was lunch with your daughter, right? That was one of the goals.
Lunch with my fiance,
With fiance.
future daughter-in-law, rather.
Better now. Okay.
Yep.
Do you share that with her and say that's a goal, or do you keep that
Oh, heck
personal?
yeah.
Okay. So, like, I always kind of struggle with the personal goals. Like, if I have some personal goals, some things that I feel like in a relationship, I want to make progress on. But
Okay, Kyle. So think about a friend you have from the past, male or female, that was a really good friend, and the relationship's not there anymore. But it used to be a tight, really good relationship. Somebody you really cared about, and vice versa. Does a first name come to mind?
yes.
What's her first name?
First name would be, I would say, well, who I'm thinking of is I think I have a great relationship with my wife, Sunny, who's on this call, but I want that relationship to be stronger. So that's what I'm thinking.
And the name is Sunny.
Yeah.
Sunny. So here's what I might suggest. I'd call Sunny. I'd say, hey, Sunny, I'm setting my goals for this year. And I've decided that our relationship is too important for me to not dedicate more time to it. So here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to get something fun on the calendar. Does he like fishing? Does he like golf? Does he want to go out? Is he a foodie? Do you want to go to a ball game or something? Call him, be honest, and put it on the calendar. I take ownership of that. So at that event, if it's dinner, to get your calendar out, let's book the next one.
Yeah.
I don't expect Sonny to be the one to take the ownership. I will, because I'm more organized. And now maybe this year you do 6 things with Sonny.
Yeah.
That's it. I tell him.
Yeah. It seems so hard. Like, I mean, it's like you live with your wife and then you feel like, okay, like, as you said, then life circumstances come up, right? Your children, you put them in front, right? So it's like, those ones are just like, sometimes I feel like the trickiest ones are the personal relationships because
So do you and your wife go on anything special every year for an anniversary?
we take time on our anniversary. I don't think we have nothing scheduled this
When's the anniversary?
April 24th.
April 24th. So my guess is your weekend somewhere around April 24th. So maybe you block on the calendar anniversary weekend. You don't have to decide where. You don't decide how much money you're going to spend. Maybe you just get down to Chicago and get a nice hotel or something. Okay. And every year you do an anniversary trip. Why? Because it's on the calendar. Let her decide what she wants to do. She want to go to New York City for a show? Maybe she just wants a night out.
Now it's getting crazy. No.
Yeah. And well, there's a whole 16-month calendar thing.
Yeah.
You start with you do your spouse, you do each child individually, stuff on the calendar for every important person in your life, whether it's Sonny or your wife. So I wasn't kidding about the power of your calendar. All of a sudden, fun stuff is on there.
Yeah.
And then the real fun becomes what to do, where to go, what to do, date nights with spouse, all these different things that are important in our life. And that's what I mean about defining the roles you have. You've just brought up your wife. You've brought up a friend, Sonny. Well, if that's an important relationship, what's the goal with Sonny? Could be golf 4 times. Could be a fishing trip. Could be anniversary trip with your wife. It could be date night 12 times.
Yeah.
There's your goal. Are you on track, green, or are you not on track? That's what I mean about the weekly planning and getting serious at a granular level about these things and the relationships. Remember Dan Sullivan, relationships is more important than time and money. They're everything we have. That's the richness in our lives. You think about it.
Mhm.
So set some goals for each key relationship, current ones, lost ones, you know, and take ownership of it. I don't expect anybody to do the reach out because most people don't. They forget, they get busy in life, and they're disorganized. I'm not because of the exact things I'm sharing. I mean, if I shared my Google sheet with my goals, it'd freak you out. I'd have to make it really small because it's so big. But I'm able to do a ton, and I'm not bragging or being Midas. I'm just sharing. I'm able to track a lot because it's red and green. If my learning goals, my fitness goals, my money goals, my thing goals, my relationship goals. I had a friend of mine, he's an incredible CEO. I really want to spend more time with him. He is one of the smartest people I've ever met. And I tracked him down, and he was asking me about how he did goals. And I shared about the red and green. We got done. He goes, well, I've got good news for you. So what's that? He said, you can color me green. We talked. He'd been red for like 6-8 weeks.
Yeah.
And this guy, trust me, he's CEO of $4 billion company. He's literally brilliant, literally brilliant. So he was funny. He says, you can go green. So what did I do the next Sunday? When I went to my Google sheet for Mike, I could put green because we talked. Check. Because it was on my goal list.
Yeah, it's interesting that those incremental goals that you can make on the bigger projects, right? To say you're on track or off track, right? And just doing that, right? I did this, I calendared it, right? Like you haven't completed the task yet, because sometimes it's just getting started on it. Who else?
And
Anyone else?
Kyle, let me interrupt, Kyle. AI, right? How many of us have put, private workspaces or AI tools really in our business? As a law firm, you have all kinds of opportunity, like we all do. Let's say you put something like incorporate AI much more intensively into our systems and processes at my law firm. And let's say you listen to one 20-minute podcast that next week. Green. You did something. You watched a podcast. Now, if you go 3 weeks and you're red, and by the way, Kyle, my tracking is not by week. The grid you used, I've done that hurt me. That was too complicated. It's just a goal. Lunch with Nicole. Red, 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 red. Once it was calendared, I went green. Then we had it. I moved it to completed, done. I don't do by the week. It was cumbersome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's just, if it's AI in the firm and you did something that week, green. Great. Good progress. Something.
Yeah, definitely. All right, who else? Chris, I'm curious. Sorry to put you on the spot here. On your goals, Chris, I know you've got a lot of things that you do in the real estate world. Um, kind of Paul's talking about wearing, the multiple different hats you have to wear. How do you kind of do that, and the different things that you're doing personally, professionally, the different buckets you have in real estate?
Yeah, no, and I love what Paul does by keeping it simple, and I think that's the biggest problem with doing this. I've been doing this for 30 years, and I'll be giving a presentation to our group in about 9 days, and it'll be on this same thing. And I kind of start with a vision plan, and then my goals are what helps me achieve my vision for business, for life, for all the things that go in it. And I again, trying to do this in 45 minutes or an hour is a task, because people want something actionable they can walk away with. And I love that Paul keeps it simple, 1 2 3. And I think for me, I've tried to boil that down over years to do the same thing. My vision plan is something that I've been tweaking it, changing it, modifying it forever. It's a living, breathing document. It always will be. But the goals part is something that I love what he said about the calendar, Paul. I mean, I live in my calendar. If it's not in there, I won't show up. And when I put it in there, I show up. And so I try to base the things I do around the calendar with the big rocks in my life that are the important, between family, business, and so on. And I try to keep it simple. I try not to beat on myself, because I fail at it all the time. And I'm constantly having to, be okay with that. And I
Chris, if
think
you
if we
would hold,
are,
Chris, if you would hold up what you just shared. with all the post-it notes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If you would hold up what you just shared. You held something up when you were speaking about vision.
Oh,
It
yeah.
had, what is
Yeah, that's my vision plan. Well, these are just sticky notes from
beautiful.
our call today.
We do too much electronic. Kyle's got a card. I'm using an 8.5 by 11 pad. You've got that piece of paper, right? It
Oh, yeah.
works. Good
Oh, yeah, it has
job.
to be it has to be written for sure. I love your 33375. I think I've heard that before. But I love that because yeah, it's spot on. I mean, if I didn't look at this, I can promise you it goes in one ear out the other because life happens all day, every
And
day, from the second I wake up to the second I go to bed.
And Chris, I'm serious. Anything on this PowerPoint deck, whatever, steal it, use it, improve it. Go. There's nothing proprietary.
Yeah, no, there's some great nuggets I will throw in mine because they just they fit into all the stuff I'm doing. And I think the biggest takeaway for me, and I really appreciate being on this call. I'm glad you sent this out to me, Kyle, is I love hearing what other people are doing because literally there's 1,000 different ways to do this. And what I tell people is I don't care about 999 of them. I only care about the one that works. And if it works for you and you actually use it and apply it, bonus, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah, I agree. Guys, the biggest struggle that I've had is so I've been purposely trying to create more free time where I'm not involved in business, okay, or business ventures. And it's interesting because I feel like probably when I was younger and in getting into business, on business time, I was thinking about what could I do on personal time, and I was planning for that. And then I started using my personal time to plan for what to do within the business and started goal setting and things of that nature. And I have found myself now to not be very good on free time. And I find myself realizing that I need to go back to planning that personal time, weekends and holidays. And so the thing that Paul's talking about is just getting things on the calendar, whether it's a lunch or an outing or something with your wife or a friend. It seems sometimes odd to me that it has to take that level, but I think for me, where I'm at right now, it needs to take that. Otherwise, I find myself not really, I'm trying to go with the flow, and then I don't do very well going with the flow. If you ever,
And Kyle, what I would say is to interrupt, I would say that comes back to roles. Your role as a husband, your role as a father, your role as a community leader, your role as a boss, as a partner. We have all these different roles. If you're in your church or Rotary, we have all these different roles. And until Steve Schellenberger shared that, it was so obvious, but I hadn't broken down my goals by role. I immediately went to my Google sheet and redid it all by role, the relationship with myself, my sister, my wife, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that helped me fill the weekends and other things because I had roles that were non-work goals, non-during the week stuff. Helped.
It's just it's life is interesting and I enjoy it. And I just know that for me I feel like I'm being very just vulnerable here. I apologize, guys, but in 2025, I just really need to do a better job planning for the time away outside of the office. And so part of my goal setting is definitely in line with that. Paul, tell us just, I really appreciate, what you're bringing to this. Where does this all come from? How did you get started in the executive coaching world? We got a couple minutes here. I just want to get, a little bit of that backdrop. How'd you get started in it? What keeps you going? You said 65, right?
So I'm 65. So one is I don't like disorganization. So a lot of this went to David Allen and getting things done decades ago before all the electronics and fancy phones. My core purpose, Kyle, really helps a lot. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But my coaching business, I'd been coaching, mentoring for 30 years. I never charged for it. I had two companies that got shut down because of COVID. So in the summer of 2020, we had to pause operations. We had a company that was going national that I was hoping for a very significant payoff that did not happen. So I started taking clients that I was mentoring, and some were willing to pay me, some are still with me, and it grew into an executive coaching business. And then the work I do with Steven with peer groups, which to me is a superpower, having 8-9 people in a group in a structured setting, whether it's YPO or EO or the Titan organization. If you're not in a mastermind or a peer group, maybe something to look at or as a goal, to all the brains in the room are smarter than any one brain, and this meeting today is an example of it. So that's what got me into it, and I just love helping others. So my core purpose really rings true to me. And when I see other people being successful as a result of our work or their life balance, or in this case of that individual I mentioned who's now going to have a closer relationship with his father and just go out to meals more often, well, one day him or his dad won't be around. And maybe they'll have 20 or 50 meals together because of me pushing them a little bit and uncovering that he had a key relationship that wasn't on the radar screen. They're little simple things, but it comes down to me, the weekly planning and tracking it. If it's in the brain, it's not going to happen. So whatever system you use, whether it's Chris's vision sheet or your note cards, whatever, it's something. And shockingly, people that do this tend to be more successful and make more money and have richer lives because they're intentional about it. It's not ad hoc. Ad hoc doesn't work so well.
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
You're just right about the list, because there's sometimes I feel, I am off track on it, but if you come back to it, you read it. And then a lot of times these goals, if you put a deadline on them, suddenly they come together at the end. You're like, oh, I did complete 75% or 80% of them, and so, but it's that reminder that they exist and it's not just a thought in your mind. Patrice, what do you think? You're going to share these materials with anyone who reaches out to you? Is that how this works?
Yeah, so I can share the recording to anyone who reaches out, but the plan is to send the PowerPoint and the Excel sheet to everyone that has attended today and that signed up to attend that maybe wasn't able to attend. So those will go out to everyone here either today still or early tomorrow.
Thank you, Patrice.
Hey, Paul. What's the best way for folks to get in touch with you, Paul, if they want to, reach out to you outside of this meeting?
Yeah, Patrice, you're welcome to share my contact info. It's on the email. There's nothing to hide. And if my core purpose, it's here to help. If you want to get a visit, let's do it.
Yeah, you got it. We'll definitely send that out as well then with everything. Thanks for that permission. Appreciate it.
And thanks for having me and all the effort that you put, Kyle and Patrice, of doing this. It makes a difference for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Paul, we'll have to get you back here. We're creating this new studio. Patrice has been hard to work on that, and we think we'll get that up and running by the time we do our next MITC session. So, and if you're in Wisconsin, Paul, let me know. I don't have any plans to be in Colorado or Pennsylvania, but given an anniversary coming up with my wife, you never know. But if you make it to Wisconsin, please let me know so I can.
I will.
5 minutes.
I will. Thanks.
All right. Thanks for remoting in, Paul. Thank you for your wife giving you that time to do that. I know you guys are going through something, and we really appreciate you taking the time for us and everyone here that joined. And for everyone on the call, always grateful for you guys coming in, sharing, asking questions, giving value. Paul, thank you so much. Tell us, Paul, can you share with us what's one of the goals for 2025 for you?
What's one of the goals for 2025? Well, certainly lose some weight. I would say, what's a goal? Read another 30 books. And I'm being more selective on the books, either reading or listening, but continued thirst for learning. And that's been fun. I got my first one done yesterday, so I'm off to a good start.
Nice. Good. All right, guys. Very good. Thank you so much, Paul. We'll connect with you later. Patrice, thanks for helping out with the program today. And everyone that was here, we'll see you guys next time in the Meaningful Ideas Trading Club. Take care.
Thanks.